Welcome, no matter where you're watching us from today. Michael Firth here, Neumi Crown and founding Field Advisory Board member. And we're live streaming right now on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all over the place. Now, we are live streaming into 74 different countries. So when you log in, what I'd love you to do is just type in which country or what location you're watching us from, because we always love to see how much reach we get online. Having said that, we're also live streaming through the Everything Neumi Worldwide channel, which is the hub for live streaming events across the world. Now, we know it takes about 30 seconds for people to get online, so you may be watching this from the replay. If you do, please type in where you're watching us from. In the meantime, let's put on a quick timer, and then we'll get started straight after this. Welcome online, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where you're watching us from around the world. Michael Firth, Neumi Crown and founding advisory board member, and it's my pleasure to these online events. We are live streaming right now across the world on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all over the place. Now, there's 74 different countries that we're open in, and with that in mind, with the playback, no doubt there'll be people watching us from all over the place. We'd love to see in the chat where you're watching us from today. If you could type it in, that'd be wonderful. Having said all of that, just remember that Everything Neumi Worldwide is the central hub that we use to live stream across the world. Now, with that in mind, in only a couple of days from now, we'll be live streaming in Mandarin, because every language you can possibly dream of has a playback sitting on the Facebook and YouTube channel, so you can play them permanently. Having said that, we also give away a free bottle of this product every time we are live. And so today, I just wanted to say that we had Norma. Let me just bring that up again. I had it just 30 seconds ago. I think her name was Norma Gilmore, who's been watching our events. Now, it's very important that you know that in order to grab that product, because it's being funded by me directly, that you need to send a message to Everything Neumi Worldwide, the page, which is where you typed in "pick me please" last time. So if you're watching us right now, before we get into the interview, hey, type in "pick me please" if you want to go in the draw for next week, when we'll also be drawing another lucky winner from today. Having said that, today I love the fact that I'm going to be doing an interview with Karen Justice. Karen Justice was the fastest crown to reach the pinnacle of success in Neumi. In fact, she did that in 5.5 months. Now, I'm not going to suggest that that's an income claim or something that everybody can pull off, but it just shows you that success leaves clues. And with that in mind, I've got a fantastic interview I'm going to share with you today with Karen Justice. So let's get into it. So as I said, this particular interview I'm really looking forward to, because on the channel here, we sometimes interview people about their products experiences. Other times we do success profile interviews. And you may have seen already that our master distributor, Alex Monterosa, a few weeks ago, we interviewed him because, as they say, success leaves clues. And you don't fall on the top of a mountain. So to see Alex's success and hear from him some of the perspectives of things that challenged him and things that helped him get to where he's at was awesome. Today, Karen Justice, who I needed a neck brace after she joined the Neumi team, because she grew so fast, set a brand new record all the way to crown. And so there's a lot of wisdom from this beautiful friend of mine. And so please welcome to this interview, Karen Justice.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here.
So, Karen, what I'd love you to do first off is, maybe just for the benefit of people who haven't met you before, tell us a little bit about your background in the industry before coming across Neumi.
I had a business involved with it. I'd worked really hard. But the first Gulf War recession had over half of my accounts going bankrupt, owing me money. And so I was desperately looking for a life raft. And when you've got a lot of employees and things, you can't just do anything, you know. So I'd come across a product that I was very interested in, but it was sold through networking. And I'd had a very bad idea about networking. Anybody that had kind of approached me, they always made it sound like a get rich quick scheme. And, you know, sure enough, a couple of months later, here they were again with yet another thing. So I had a bad idea about it, but I liked this product, and I came across somebody that I respected who was a business person that was building with the company. And so when I got involved, I applied business principles. As I said, I've been able to start a company from scratch and build it into a big company. And so when I joined network marketing, I worked with targets and goals immediately. I was incredibly excited about the product. So, I worked with a lot of excitement, and I grew very quickly. But I think that the key thing was using the business principles. I then was asked to write for Upline magazine, which I did for, quite a few years, and a variety of articles. I wrote a book on network marketing, and I've always been about making authentic presentations, not those, get rich quick type of presentations, authentic presentations that are conversational, learning to listen with empathy, and getting the average person building, having the average person get belief, make them feel good about themselves, and get the average person building. And that's why I grow very quickly in all directions, because I still adhere to that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I can attest to everything that Karen's said. And I only met Karen through Neumi when she actually joined. So there's another good question. What made you choose Neumi as your home? What were the things that sort of lit you up?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is you, and I'll get back to that. But I had been really burnt out. I'd been a lead distributor and worked with a number of companies. And I had been so hurt by, seeing the MLM junkies, the bad ethics, owners with hidden agendas, things like that, owners that really didn't understand how to run a company. So the last thing I wanted to do was become involved with it again when Larry Wilson presented it to me. But he was determined, even though I basically said no, he was determined, and he got me to look at the 2.5 minute video. So once I looked at the 2.5 minute video, I was intrigued. I couldn't help myself. I was intrigued. And then he said, well, would you do a three-way with me? And so he got me on the call with you. And you probably remember that I looked anything but happy to be there. I was kind of all, all right. But you were great. And I've learned a lot about three-ways from you, actually, Michael, in the STAR training and just from you in general. But you asked a lot about me. I didn't feel you were just ready to pounce and tell me, how great your opportunity was. You were really listening. And so I told my tale of woe, and it was quite a long tale of woe, but you listened. And because you did, I in turn was willing to listen. And as I did listen, I realized that, it was just so intriguing. And then I saw Steve. I got chills of confirmation as I watched him speak. I talked to Aaron. You got me on a call with Aaron. I was so impressed with his background. And by the time I was done, I realized that, this is a once in a lifetime company. It's the greatest company I've ever seen enter the field of network marketing. So there was just no way I could say no.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you know what? I can attest another part of that too. One of the secrets for our success is doing exactly that, third-party validation. So I wasn't going to bring this amazing lady who had all this industry experience to the finish line myself. Introducing to corporate, introducing to various people was really strategic in that approach with that call. Now, having said that, then Karen, as I said earlier, grew way faster than I did, and literally set a new record for speed. So what do you think were some of the factors or secrets to your rapid success?
Basically, I knew it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I knew that so many people had been hurt by the industry. I knew the product was going to really help people. And so I had a happy heart when I reached out to people. You know what I mean? I was enthusiastic about it. And one of the things I found about networkers is, people may have tried really hard to squelch their dream, but when you present the facts and they see what Neumi is, and they realize that this is the company that they've probably been hoping for, you know what I mean? It isn't that hard to rekindle that dream. So I was able to, talk to some people that were networkers. I didn't bring over a whole team from anywhere. These were just individual people. And some of the people, on my front line were definitely not big networkers or anything like that. And a lot of people said no initially, but I continued to talk to them and show them a couple of things. I told them that I understand how they felt, because I'd certainly felt that way myself, you know. And so, just continued dialogue and dripping, and got a lot of people involved, but more so than, like, I'm not a signing machine. Some people think, oh gosh, you must have signed so many people. I didn't. What I did was I worked really hard with the people that I brought on to help them sign up their people, doing exactly what you did, the three-way calls being that for my team. And, we networked. We created that network of support, and we networked, which is what you're supposed to do. But, when it works magically, and that's what happened.
Beautiful. I love the fact that you said that you're not one of these sponsoring machines. Not there's anything wrong with it if somebody comes in and they want to introduce 1 million people, knock yourself out. But I also had a mentor that said, that's not truly network marketing. Network marketing is when you help other people and you duplicate. That's the truth, rather than just selling away to a rank. So that's one of the reasons your business has been super stable all the way through, I think, as well. Now, I know you said this to me, but I want to share this with people. We've got an amazing technology. Nobody else has any products remotely like what we do with our scientific breakthrough. But you did say to me the results you're hearing from the field from a health perspective with Neumi are more amazing and more dramatic than anything you've actually experienced with any nutrition product in your career. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Well, it first happened early on. I won't mention a name, but I have had a friend who hadn't been networking for quite a few years. And I called her not so much to think that she'd made me do it, but just because I was very excited about the product. So I called her, and she was in a really bad place. She was financially in a terrible place, but she was also in a really bad place with regard to her life. And she said, she really basically didn't even want to be around, let alone try to build a network marketing company. So I gifted her some product. And over the next couple of weeks, I got repeated beautiful texts thanking me, just saying what an incredible difference it's made. And I still see miracle differences all of the time. I mean, it's just some of the things you just shake your head, you think that can't happen. And most of the things we can't even say, because a nutritional company can't treat, cure, or mitigate any disease or illness. So we just have to kind of keep them to ourselves. But it's just amazing. I do a call, for the team, and some of the testimonials on those calls have literally brought me to tears, and it's just so wonderful watching people's quality of life change, knowing that you've impacted how they're going to age. Yeah, it's just so gratifying to be part of it. And then as you see people building their businesses out too, a lot of people, the reason they're ill is because of financial stress. So this gives people hope with an honest company. And it's just such a beautiful thing we bring to the table. So yeah, I've never seen success stories like this. I mean, they're literal, a lot of them are literally miracles, and so, but there's ordinary ones too, but it's really gratifying to be part of something that can make such a dramatic change, especially if people are willing to give it that 3 to 6 months. Because I've had people that have had huge changes, and at first they were like, I'm not sure anything's happening, and I've had to convince them, stay on it, and they did, and then all of a sudden it's like their whole world flipped and they're doing so much better.
That's beautiful. It is, and transforming people's lives is a noble cause, and we do that every single day with our products, which is awesome. Now, as much as we can talk about the success profile and things that went well, I love that you wanted to handle this question because sometimes people get in network marketing and they see someone like yourself go rocketing through to the top and go, "Oh, you just got an easy road. There was no challenges, there was no adversity for you." And now I know the truth about that. We could talk about the early time with the glass bottles because you were in the early iteration of the product. We could talk about the technology as we changed platforms to get to where we're today, and you've come through all of that. So let's talk about how you, as a leader, handle adversity.
Well, I think that for me, it's like that firm belief in the product. And I have, been in networking for over 30 years. And as a professional networker, I know that if you choose to join a company in its early days, what they call the formulation phase, it's going to be a rocky ride. It just is. And that's just the truth. When I started, I was all enthusiastic. My product came broken. I had the $1,000 pack of broken bottles arrive, and that was when we had the glass bottles. The first few people that I shipped to, they all got broken bottles too, but we kept our enthusiasm. The company was trying as hard as they could to get those bottles out, and some got there not broken. They very quickly got the new bottles, the new wonderful bottles that we have now. They pulled off a miracle to do that quickly. But it was funny during the interim, we had bottles going out that looked like burritos. Remember, they were wrapped in those little bag things that were keeping them warm enough. It was so fun. But during that whole time, as all of this was happening, people realized that this is an incredible product. It's an incredible opportunity, and the company was being very responsive. In that formulation phase, that's part of the S curve. If you like, later on, I could talk a little bit about the S curve, but during the formulation phase, which is the first phase of any company, not just a network marketing company, there's always shakeups as the company brings their product to market. There's always website changes and different things that need to be tweaked as you bring it to the market. And I mean, they wanted nice glass bottles. Who knew that shipping glass bottles in the winter? So it's just one of those things you learn as you grow. And it's interesting. Every company goes through it. If you've been around the block long enough, you realize that as a company starts, that's part of their growth, as they move through that stage.
Yeah, beautiful. So with that in mind, there is that S curve you're talking about, and you're right, it doesn't just apply to network marketing companies. All companies go through it. You and I have all these scars to prove that you can survive the first 3 years, but we've gone past that 3 years, and we're now getting into our fourth year, and all of that stuff is behind us. But I've got to say this, even during some of those challenges, if you go into Business for Home, you'll see that the Neumi graph, we continue to grow consistently through any adversity, which is a testament about how amazing the products are, the compensation plan, the leadership, etc. But let's talk, just as a final question, let's talk about that S curve, because right now we have some of the biggest leaders I've known in the entire industry joining Neumi, and I think they've waited for us to get through that initial S curve period. So tell us more about that.
Well, my friend was a man named Rob Cook. He was the MLM watchdog. He passed a couple of years ago, but he was the first person that introduced me to it and, explained it for me. And basically what it is that a company goes through four basic cycles. When any company first comes into the marketplace, their chances of making it are very low. It's something like well over 90% of network marketing companies fail, according to Rod. And so joining a new company is kind of like playing Russian roulette with your life. And I knew that, but when I looked at everything Neumi had to offer, I was willing to take that risk. A lot of professional networkers don't like to join a company in that first formulation phase because there's a lot of shaking that goes on, you know. There's challenges, you know, as the company brings their goods to market. After they go through that initial launch and everything, you get like, there's people in our industry, and you know this, Michael, I call them MLM junkies, but they're literally addicts. There's never a new company that they can let go by, you know, they always jump on it. And so you get all of those people and jump on, and they're not really committed. So they jump on, they jump off. They always think the next company won't have to go through the formulation phase, but oh yes, there it is again, you know, and then they jump again. But so you get your MLM junkies jumping on and off, and that can cause, you know, some turmoil. There's if you look on the internet and you Google the S curve, you'll see that one of the things they mention is multiple website changes. You know what I mean? And that happened to us. I mean, we had a company buy our back office, you know, our back office provider. So whether we wanted to change our back office or not, the company had to. So that created, you know, some turmoil. But this product creates so much dedication, and there's just so much love in this company that, you know, we really are a family, that the majority of people were really bonded to each other, and we kind of locked arms and weathered our way through it. I believe we're in the next phase. In the formulation phase, the graph is usually going up and down. You know, it'll go up a bit, but it bounces around. In that formulation phase, every once in a while, that first phase, every once in a while, you'll see a company that's headed by hypesters, you know, and they're just, oh, this is the best thing, you know, it's crazy, the breathless excitement. And all of a sudden, they'll start growing and they'll go into a straight up curve, right? They go up like a rocket, and I jokingly say they come down like a cinder, you know, because if you go into that sharp growth curve, that really sharp growth curve, too soon, it can shake a company apart. So there's a lot of reasons that companies fail. And as I said, a lot of times, you know, that's why your big networkers don't join at that time. But the concentration phase that we're moving into right now is the phase that most big networkers look for, because they know now the company has gone through its hardships. You know, there still would be some things, but, you know, the company is stable. They've got their stable leadership. You know, they've attracted their big builders. And at that point, when you've got that solid foundation, now a company can take growth, you know, that big growth. And so Aaron has really been planning for that. They've got all kinds of plans in place in the background to take us through when we're going to hit the momentum phase. Concentration phase, the company's usually in it for a couple of years. And then the very next phase, and this is why big builders look for this phase, the very next phase is momentum. And momentum is where you're going to go straight up, and that usually lasts for about 3 to 5 years. But why concentration phase is so great is that any size of a group you build during that concentration phase, it can 10 or 20 times overnight as soon as the company hits that momentum. When it hits momentum, it's like having a tiger by the tail, you know, you can do nothing wrong type of thing. So we're in that concentration phase. So right now, it behooves people to, you know, you've gone through the worst of, you know, whatever happens during that formulation. Now we're in concentration, and just buckle down and try to build as big as you can with solid, you know, good people, because when we hit momentum, it's going to be so exciting. After momentum is stability, and sometimes people will join an older company and they'll think, well, I don't know why we never get any real traction. You know, how come it's so hard to build an older company? And that's because a company instability is still a good opportunity, but it's a more conservative opportunity. It's a much slower growth because it's very difficult to outperform the momentum of the company. So that's basically what it is. And so I'm excited. We're really in this the concentration, that stable phase. And so things really couldn't be better. I know, all in the background, all of the things the company has planned. There's, when I first joined, I said to myself, this is the greatest company to ever enter the marketplace. And now, these years later, 3 years later, I guess it is, something like that, I'm even more certain, I'm in love with the people that run this company. I'm in love with the product. I'm just so grateful and blessed to be here.
Beautiful. And we are blessed to have you as well. I love the fact that you referred to us as a family because, like I said, I didn't even know Karen 3 years ago. And we got to know each other, and someone I'm proud to call a friend, and someone I'm very proud of in terms of business, and helped set the culture for this amazing company. And right now, the fact is, it's the April 2025 when we're recording this presentation, and we just had the biggest March on record since we started the company. So if that's not evidence that we're heading towards that momentum phase, we're in the concentration phase right now, it's a very exciting time to join Neumi. So thank you for sharing. Oh, I missed my button on my camera. Fantastic. What a great interview with Karen. Something came to mind just as I was going through that conversation just now that I wanted to share, and that is in the industry, we're seeing some companies that have actually gone and become affiliate models instead of a network marketing model. And that's because they're owned by venture capitalists that just go, what's the cheapest way to get the product out? We're paying a little bit of commission. Whereas in Neumi's case, we're paying 53 cents in the dollar, not including the promotions. We did a promotion at the moment that took us way beyond 53 cents. And we also don't include our incentive trips, which most companies are paying between 24 cents, maybe 38 cents, including all of that as well. And there's a big, huge 23-year-old company that just went belly up, shut the doors, and people are asking, why would something like that happen? Well, again, being owned by a venture capitalist company, I saw that particular company, their volume went down 4 years in a row. And if you're a venture capitalist, of course, you're going to look at your dollars and cents. Now, I want to say this, when you're looking at Neumi, we were in the black financially in the first 12 months. I know that because one of my friends was the #1 investor, and they said, we don't need any more money. We're already self-funding. And that's because if you took a kilogram of ingredients and made traditional capsules like anyone else in this industry, you're going to make $200 to $400 of the product. In our case, we can take the same kilogram. Nothing is getting flushed down the toilet. It's all absorbing, and we can make 10,000 bottles. Why am I telling you that? This company in that S curve is in the best financial position of any company I've ever known in the industry, which means we'll stand the test of time. So with that in mind, type in pick me, please, if you'd want to go in the draw for the product next week. If you were at the start of the presentation, you'll remember that I said Norma was the winner. Norma, you'll need to message the Everything Neumi Worldwide page in order to get your mailing address, and we'll send it out from there. Having said that, if you've enjoyed today's interviews, we love doing these interviews all the time. People with sports results, busting world records. We have everyday mums and dads sharing their product experiences. We have success interviews, and we intend to keep doing that every single week at exactly the same time. So if you haven't done it yet, please go to YouTube and Facebook and subscribe to the Everything Neumi Worldwide channel, and we'll see you again on the next interview. Good morning, good afternoon.